Special series Crystal Ball, CNBC TV 18's Udayan Mukherjee spoke with veteran market expert Vallabh Bhanshali. He began by asking him about the lackluster earnings growth that we have seen this quarter and how he sees the rest of the earnings season. Let's listen in, to a slice of that conversation.
I think we underestimated the difficulty in the economy. I think the fact that there is so much leverage on so many companies' balance sheets, that the banking sector has stress much beyond that what we thought, and they've not been able to find solutions, the stress in electricity, the power companies and so on. But I'm not too worried about it. That's what I would say. But you are right that because of these factors, and then, you know, we had China scare, we had global scare, we had the Fed holding up rate deceleration in India. In the moment Fed said that, look, they are not changing, I think fortunately the governor here took those steps. So I think this orchestration has not worked out exactly the way that we would have thought, but still haltingly, but I think it's working out now.
Where are we in the cycle? Speaking of cycles now, Vallabh, because, you know, last year there was a lot of expectation and thought that maybe we have started on a 5-6 year kind of a bull cycle, because we've seen markets move in cycles. We have just come out of maybe a 5-6 year bad cycle. Is this one of those cycles where markets move up steadily and then accelerate in terms of P multiples as we get towards the later stages? Or is it a different kind of a cycle this time around? We had a good 2014. We've so far had a very average 2015. Is this cycle, if you can call it that, different in some ways?
I think it is different in terms that the world has been a very queer place. It is experimenting maybe dangerously with all the central bank easing. We are seeing a different kind of government and approach to economy and politics. And we were coming out of a very difficult period. And therefore, markets have been reflecting the difficulty in understanding the projections or the market ahead. I am not really a great student of cycles as such, but it does seem that this is an extended cycle where for the last 25 years, one of the major engines of the world is now sputtering, and that is China. And it has taken a lot of companies and sectors down under it, or at least put them in shadow. Plus, for last several, 2008 to 2015, you had easy money in the US, and that is starting to change now. One does not know whether that will ever happen. But so there were some very, very macro factors that are kind of changing the rhythm of this cycle. Given that, I'll not be surprised at all that this is an extended, this is a Vilambit Tal kind of thing, that the bull cycle normally, which lasts 2 years, 3 to 4 years, the whole cycle turns out, this may become a 5 or 6 years, and it goes to 2019 kind of scenario. So I think people should be ready for a slowed down world, a slowed down market, and just hold their breath.
Let me ask you a bit about the market. Since you said that it's serious business and you would advise people to be cautious about the investment cycle, it's a strange market right now. Anything which has got quality attached to it, the pharmaceutical companies which are delivering, some of the consumer companies are trading at very lofty valuations, and the rest of the market is cheap. How do you approach such a market which is so bipolar, where the good news is more than adequately priced into some stocks, and the rest people do not want to touch or do not have the confidence to just yet?
India is a noisy place, and we saw that in the period 2004-2009, infrastructure companies and a certain category of companies really grow extremely fast. And you would remember a time when some of these companies had market caps which was greater than several FMCG companies and so on. And therefore, from that fashion-led investment cycle to a more confusing cycle, we have come to a stage where things are a lot more on a steady state basis. You see virtually, one doesn't hear corruption stories, and one has seen the deleterious effect of corruption, that how much difficulty it has created in the economy, in the banking sector and so on. So I think as things settle, as the world settles, now the world is also kind of become more predictable than it was 2 years or 3 years ago. I expect that India should become more and more center stage under all scenarios. I have lots of worries on the international front, but I think in all scenarios, India comes out tops.
The Bihar elections, Vallabh, because it is worrying a lot of people. Some say that if the ruling party or the ruling government at the center comes out on the right side of it, it will get a huge impetus to go forward at a pace at which it has not been able to move since it came into power. The flip side is a lot of people believe that if it does not come out on the right side, it may be hamstrung even further. But you have a different spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that in case the ruling party does not win, ruling in the center, they would see that, well, to face 2019, they must perform. And to perform, they will have to become less politically sensitive. And I have seen over the last 25 years that if you're doing the right thing, people follow, politics follows. So maybe this government showed a lot of courage, a lot of confidence in, the land bill and things like that. Maybe different approach will have to be taken where it is more conciliatory or where you create less friction and find different ways. And they're already talking about it. So I think that irrespective, I expect that the reform process to accelerate post-Bihar elections.
All right, you can catch that entire conversation at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. tonight only on CNBC TV 18. But now let's move on.